I was a Foreign Service officer and served in many countries, including Japan. And I had the opportunity to serve in Sapporo and Fukuoka and Tokyo multiple times, and was a visiting scholar at the University of Tokyo, and had many engagements with Japan. But I was also in many other countries, including Ukraine and Iraq, and I was at a military base in Djibouti and Australia, and really had both the experience of living in Japan for many years as well as the opportunity to live in other countries. But my first encounter with Japanese came in college when I was at the University of California, Berkeley. And looking back, it really was, as they say, one of those things that I didn't come from a family that studied foreign languages, and I had studied French when I was in grade school, and for reasons that are pretty much unknown to me, I decided to take Japanese at Berkeley. And I was thinking that since I had already studied French, maybe I should study a difficult language. So I thought, what is a difficult language? Chinese, Japanese, and at the time it was much easier to go to Japan than China. So I had not really met Japanese people before, maybe once or twice. I had not studied Japanese history, but I decided I was going to try this language. And to this day, I can remember that classroom at Berkeley. And I literally walked into this classroom and heard the Japanese language, and it changed my life. It's one of those things. And I was fortunate that at Berkeley we had really inspirational teachers who were young Japanese professors who were there from the Tokyo University of Foreign Languages. And they were very dedicated, and they were really, I think they were the perfect guides for me to learning the language. And so I continued studying Japanese, but of course I'd never been to Japan. So after studying Japanese for a year, I decided that I was going to leave school and go to Japan. So I think in retrospect I should have taken advantage of the study abroad program, but I was so excited about going to Japan that I went there, and that's when I first had that, had the opportunity to see this beautiful country, and then continued on from there, and continued my Japanese studies, and went to the Fletcher School to study diplomacy, and then into the Foreign Service. So for me, the gateway to my career in the Foreign Service was the Japanese language, and because of that decision, I was then able to study other languages, which was, for me, was a special, special privilege. I think that, having studied multiple languages, I think one of my takeaways is that every language has easy aspects and every language has very difficult aspects. And you should sort of feel lucky that there are these parts that are not that hard, and then take the time to master those parts that are difficult. So if you look at a language like Japanese, there's no conjugating verbs is very easy, and with few exceptions, you can do that with almost every verb. And there's no gender, there are no cases like they have in Slavic languages, and so there's a lot of things. And the basic writing system, the hiragana, katakana, is actually something that's quite easy to master. And there are also the aspects of tense and other things that in other languages can be very complicated and aren't in Japanese. I think for most people, they would say that the kanji would be a difficult aspect, and then proper usage, the issue of politeness, and that. But at the same time, there's lots of things that are quite quite easy. And one thing I found interesting as I studied more languages is that one of the differences between Japanese and Western languages is the word order in a sentence, and the fact that the verb is comes at the end of the sentence and so forth. And when I was going to Azerbaijan as the deputy head of mission, I studied Azerbaijani, and the first thing the teacher said to our small class was, "Oh, you're going to find this is a very difficult language to learn because the verb comes at the end of the sentence." And I went, "This is great." And it turned out there were a lot of elements in the Azerbaijani language that are similar to Japanese. So it was sort of an unlikely encounter with something that I was very comfortable with.